Hello, YouTube, and welcome to an epic adventure. My name is Jordy, or at least that's what my friends call me. And this is a game that I'm pretty sure doesn't have a name because in the App Store it was just called Medieval RPG Game or something like that. But from what I understand, it's a reading based game where I read a scenario and then I pick what I want to do in said scenario. So let's just go ahead and start it. This game includes the entire Wizard's Choice, Demon's Choice, Rogue's Choice, Ranger's Choice, and Paladin series with additional features. You start off as a wizard at the beginning of this massive adventure. Instructions: scroll, read, and make choices. That's it. Your progress is automatically bookmarked. That's pretty cool. So yeah, it's exactly what I thought. You are a young wizard seeking treasure and glory. You are walking up along a path in the forest, one day's journey from Ring City, your beloved home. Night has just fallen, and you're thinking about how it might be a good idea to find a campsite. After all, you are in goblin territory, and it's dangerous to travel in the dark. Suddenly, you smell something awful. Reginald, are you responsible for that outrageous smell? I asked to the warrior striding ahead of me. Pray no. I'm always downwind from my companions when I squeeze the bellows. You realize that you have never encountered this stench before, and it is close. And perhaps it's your imagination, but is that muffled breathing you just heard? What do you do? So, if I stop and listen, I might get a better understanding of what exactly it is that's up there or out there. I really don't think hiding is a good option, and I don't see what diving flat on my face would do. If I warn Reginald, then he'll also know, which I think is probably better than just getting the information. Because if I send him a warning, then we both will be on our guards, and we'll both understand more of what is happening. Hopefully, so that's what I'm gonna do. It's an ambush. Oh, okay. Well, shit. Startled, Reginald springs off the ground like a jackrabbit, his chain armor jingling. Just then, out of the brush rush several snarling goblins, their eyes glowing green in the murky darkness. They charge with their short spears. Mana decrease 2, moral increases 1. Okay. With an arcane word and a flourish of one hand, you send a bolt of fire into the leader of the charge, who drops to the ground thrashing in flames. Reginald hacks down another with his sword. The remaining 3 run away, whooping and yipping. Their cries are joined by others from the dark forest all around you. Many calls from far too many goblins to fight toe-to-toe. It's a hunting party, probably tracking wild game. We humans are a delicacy, much better than mutton. You regard the 2 dead goblins on the ground. Dead goblins are worth 10 gold pieces per head in the city. Luckily, you don't need to carry their heads around. The city authorities will accept their left ears. Honestly, I don't really see how this is a choice. I mean, I guess if there's goblins on their way to come and attack us, might not be a good idea to stop for too long. But right now, I have 0 gold, as you can see. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and get a chance at getting some gold. Oh, cool. My gold just automatically increases. That's cool. Get the ears! Get the ears! You exclaim as you pull out your razor-sharp dagger from your belt. For a second, your sometimes slow-witted warrior sidekick doesn't understand. But as you start sawing away at the first ear, he gets the idea and fishes out his own dagger. Soon you have a bloody goblin ear stuffed into your pocket, and Reginald has one of his own. Nasty? Very. However, 10 gold pieces are nearly 6 months of wages to a common laborer, so you're willing to take the hit. What now? Certainly there are excellent places to hide in the forest if we can just make it until morning. True. The goblins may have dogs, and it's their own sense of smell is keen. We might climb a tree then. That would at least be defensible. You wish to be treed like a fox with goblins barking underneath. If you wish a position that is both defensible and allows some freedom of movement, we should hasten to Castle Inverness. It is near, and we could fortify ourselves behind those walls. It is a fortress, yes, but inhabited by what? Gods know what manner of creatures may have taken up residence in that ruin over the years. So if we hide in the forest, I really think that that's probably our worst option. If we hide in the forest, then obviously the goblins know their own territory a lot better than we do. So they would be able to track us down a lot easier. They have a really keen sense of smell, apparently, and they also might have dogs. So that's really not a good idea, which is the same reason why I'm going to say climb a large tree is also a bad idea. Because if we climb a large tree, we'll be up. It might be harder for them to reach us, and we can build a defense from there. But I think the smartest bet is to garrison in the ruin walls. Castle Inverness is near. Let us take refuge behind those stone walls. Goblin hunting calls echo from all around in the forest as the two of you dash up the path 100 meters or so, where you find a fork in the road. The path to the right appears to be seldom used since it's nearly overgrown. The path to the left is clear, and you think you can see firelight down that way. Could this fire belong to the goblins, or, if you're lucky, is it the campfire of another friendly adventuring party? Yeah, it's got to be Castle. Because if we're in goblin territory, there's obviously going to be goblins camping in the territory, especially if they're a hunting party searching for wild game. Enough foolishness. To Castle Inverness and her blessed walls, you proclaim. Reginald raises his fist. Yes, may their puny bodies break against our stone defenses. After a minute of stumbling down what is best described as a game trail, you see the shadowy husk of the ruin in the moonlight ahead. Unfortunately, the battle cries of your pursuers are closer than ever, and when you look back over your shoulder, you see glowing eyes. The two of you turn on a boost of speed, and soon the outer wall of the castle looms before you. It is about 10 feet high and crumbling. You realize with horror that there are no holes on this side that are large enough to fit through. Meanwhile, Reginald, a faster runner than yourself, has disappeared around the north corner of the wall. A short spear whistles past your head. You look back and see at least 4 of the little beasts. Okay. Well, the thing is, if I follow Reginald, I'm not sure how fast these goblins are. Plus, there's 4 of them and only 1 of me. So I could easily be overtaken, and I could easily get hurt in this. If I use a spell to jump the wall, that's kind of the same issue, because if the wall's crumbling and has holes, goblins are typically a lot smaller than humans, and by looking at this picture, they seem to be pretty small, so they might be able to climb through some holes in the wall that I couldn't. So I'm just going to use 4 mana and I'm going to blast them. Achievement unlocked. Crushing move. You dominated. I got 2 points, I got 2 coins, and I got 1 luck. I don't know what any of that means, but I guess it's good to have. Die, filthy vermin! You shout as you turn to face your pursuers. They are not far behind, and you only have to wait a few seconds before they are in range. You shout the spell trigger word, and a gout of flame erupts from your outstretched hand, engulfing 4 goblins. They scream shrilly for a moment, and then fall silent as their flaming bodies crumble to the ground. No more goblins are visible, so you run to catch up with Reginald. As you round the north side, you see him above a section of partially crumbled wall. He helps you scramble over the top and onto the rotten gangplank. He grins at you and nods in the direction you came from. Gods, you have struck terror into that advance party. However, they will call reinforcements. We have the wall. The question remains, can we hold it? We could go in. You point to the castle beyond the courtyard. The castle is 3 stories tall, or at least it had been before most of the top floor collapsed. The second story is barely any better. The fortress is as lifeless and still as a painting. Nevertheless, you wonder if anyone is looking back at you from the dark arrow slits of the first floor. What do you suggest? I really don't think 2 people would be able to hold defense around an entire castle wall. Just me and Reginald, I don't think that's going to be good enough personally. So I'm going to say that we enter the castle and take our chances there. 2 are not enough to defend all 4 walls. Away to the keep, as I said. You run across the courtyard and open the large wooden double doors which shriek on rusty hinges. Unlocked? This may be a trap, my friend. We best be on our guard. Once inside, Reginald slams and bars the doors. The entrance chamber is large with a high vaulted ceiling. The stone walls are cracked and flaking. The ground is strewn with loose rubble. The air is stale aside from the double doors behind you. There are closed wooden doors on the north, east, and west walls. Near the north door there is a stairway going up, but it is blocked by rubble. It is not long before the front doors begin to rattle violently. Through a nearby arrow slit you can see glowing eyes and the glint of axes chopping away at the door. You're not sure how long the barred portal will hold them. Reginald wants to hide deeper in the castle. But on the other hand, this place smells of death. It may be prudent to take a few seconds to investigate the room and doors. Okay, so if we go deeper into the castle, we'd be further away from the goblins and whatever else is in this castle. But I'm not sure if it's a mechanic of this game or not. But there is an opportunity to find loot and or gold or, anything like that if we just search around the room and look. So there are definitely pros and cons of both. Because if we search around the room, we might find whatever else is inhabited in this castle, or the goblins might get through. So, I'm just gonna go deeper into the castle, I guess. Oh, that's not a good picture. Oh, I lost 3 life. Oh, that sucks. Reginald opens the northern door and gasps. The light of your lantern streams into the doorway to reveal a huge, muscled monster stooping over. He holds a massive spiked club in one hand and a melon-sized rock in the other. He bursts into the room, driving Reginald back. Navel's tongue! It's an ogre! The ogre slams his club against Reginald's shield, sending him careening into the wall. The ogre then throws the rock it was holding at you, cripping your shoulder, spinning you completely around. The ogre smiles a jagged-toothed grin and bends down to pick up another rock from a neat pile on the ground, just beside the doorway. You need to act fast. I only have 8 mana left. I wonder... I'm honestly really curious if I can charm him. So I'm going to use 3 mana to find that out. Oh, it was a clever move apparently. Cool. Mana decreases, moral increases though, so that's cool. You read somewhere that ogres, although mighty in strength and stench, are weak-minded fools. Quickly you cast your charm spell and point to the ogre before he has the chance to attack. His eyes, slits of rage only a moment before, now widen, and he gives what you suppose is an ogre smile. Your trans-species courtship is interrupted as the front doors of the castle burst open. Like a tidal wave crashing on the beach, a heap of goblins falls into the room, creatures one on top of another. A chorus of glee erupts from their fanged mouths. The ogre roars in rage, throwing his rock at the first goblin, striking it in the chest with such a nasty crunching sound that you are certain the goblin will never get up. You decide it's time to leave this party. You and Reginald nearly collide on your haste through the eastern portal. Once through, you slam the door closed. From the entrance chamber you just left, you hear goblin yips of triumph turn into screams of terror that are immediately drowned out by an earth-shaking snarl. Next, you hear the sharp slapping of flesh against flesh and the wet sounds of bodies ripping apart. You run from one room to the next. The particular charm spell you used on the ogre only lasts a few minutes, and so you want to get away from the monster before then. The ogre is not much of a housekeeper. The castle is full of giant cobwebs and broken furniture. Finally, you enter a larger room, a dining room, as evidenced by a long wooden table and 2 fireplaces. You motion to Reginald to stop, and you both listen. Faintly, you can hear the far-off sounds of battle from behind you. Can't leave that way, I think. Of course, do you really want to leave anyway? There may be treasure about. Your steps slow to a crawl as you try to make up your mind what to do. Just then you hear something else. Labored breathing. And is that crying? Normally when something's crying, that means it's not much of a threat. It's either not much of a threat or it doesn't want to be disturbed or something happened. So I don't think, I'm not saying it would be unwise to leave the castle, but that's too much of a safe bet. And I feel like if I was to investigate this sound, we could get another teammate. It's a possibility. So let's just see what happens. Hey, cool, I got one moral. For glory and the loot, you think to yourself as you take the lead. You quickly realize that the sound seems to be coming from this very room. You creep over to the other end of the dining hall and you see a young woman sitting on the ground, chained to a fireplace, rocking back and forth and sobbing. Her cries break off, and she looks up at you with an expression of fear that quickly turns to surprise. Who are you? She asks. You tell her your names and that you are here to smite evil while making your fortunes. This brings a smile to her face, a pretty smile, you suspect, although it's hard to tell under all the dirt smudged on her face. She gives her name as Siba. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not, but let's just assume I am, and says there is a key to her chains on the table. Sure enough, beside cracked and dusty china is a small brass key. As you set about unlocking her, she tells you that she is a merchant's daughter who was traveling with her father's trade caravan when it was attacked by a mighty ogre with a small band of priests of an evil god wearing dark cloaks, so warlocks. Those of her party not killed in the initial attack were taken prisoner and chained up in this room. One by one they were taken away by the priests, never to return. They took my father, Siba sniffs. No doubt he is slain, but I must try to find him. Will you help me? You ask her if she has any idea where her father or the others might be, but she knows little of the rest of the castle. Reginald takes you aside and says, Ought we to take her to safety and then look for her father on our own? She will be in danger traveling with us. You agree that having some half-starved, unarmed merchant's daughter tripping along beyond you will get her killed, but where is safety? Last time you checked, the courtyard was crawling with goblins, and according to her, the castle residents are not very good hosts. What do you do? I'm not going to chain her back up, so that option is immediately out. I don't think I'd feel comfortable to just send her on her way. If we hide her and move on, then the priests will come back and they'll look for her if the goblins don't get to her first. So I feel like the only option that I have that I could save this girl is to escort her out. Siba seems like a nice enough young woman, but as a merchant's daughter, she is not a very good addition to the adventuring party. And so you are eager to escort her out of the castle as quickly as possible. Between Reginald's clinking chainmail armor and Siba's incessant sniffling and muttering about her father, the three of you are not the stealthy party you wish to be. After some searching, you find a hole in the wall of the castle large enough for a human to fit through. Reginald gives you a boost up to the hole and you look out. Navel's tongue, you curse in your head. Glowing eyes dot the courtyard outside. You get down and tell the others the bad news. As you're describing what you saw, there's a sudden jolt of numbing cold in your back. You cry out in pain and turn to see a cloaked man barely visible in the light cast by the shuttered lantern in his hand. This is what I mean when I say there might be someone later to save my mana for. Perhaps this is one of the evil priests Siba spoke of. As you slump back against the wall, Siba cowers in the corner. Reginald unsheathes his sword and charges. The cloaked man runs. By the time you recover from the pain and stand up, Reginald is walking briskly back to the chamber. That sneaky devil eluded me. Sorry, I'm not the best reader. He says and then curses. I would bet my last copper he is off gathering allies to come back for us. We must move on. As you hasten away from that wing of the ruin, the three of you agree Siba should hide for now. There are a ton of hiding places in this ruin. You find a nice pile of rubble for her to hide behind several rooms away. Stay still and quiet here. We will return. Well, if we do not return by morning, escape as best as you can. Clever, Reginald says as you leave her. If her abductors find her missing, they will not expect her to remain in the castle. With luck, they will leave the castle altogether to search. And we can explore unhindered, you say with a smile. The castle is quiet and dark. You walk into a wide hallway that branches in two directions. One direction is covered in a thick layer of dust while the other is covered in footprints. You decide that it would be wise to get a lay of the land before looking for any trouble. Despite the faint smell of rotting flesh from the dusty hall, you decide that it would be wise to go this way first. Less monsters, more treasure, or at least you hope. You have kept your lantern hooded, only allowing slivers of light out. After all, you want to remain stealthy. The way is dim, however, and you find yourself tripping over rubble and the odd piece of furniture. Ahead, there is a stench of rot, making you wonder if there might be something terrible hidden in the shadows. Too bad you can't see in the dark like a goblin. What do you do? The odds of there being something terrible hidden in the shadows are very high, considering everything else that we run into in this castle. So, with that said, I think it would be a bad idea to unhood the lantern. But I'm going to do it anyway. Since you appear to be entering a vacant part of the castle, you expect your light will not attract enemy attention, and so you unhood your lantern to see your way clearly. As you move along, the cobwebs thicken and thicken. Spider! Reginald yelps. He points his sword up at the ceiling. There is an enormous hairy spider suspended by a mass of yawn-thick webs. The webs are dotted with a small, silky cocoons you suspect that might encase rats or other small prey. With trembling fingers, Reginald sheathes his sword and unslings his bow. He takes a big breath as he fits an arrow, draws back the string, and fires. The spider flails its long legs for a moment, and then drops out of the web onto the floor with a thud. The two of you move on, taking extra care to watch the ceiling. Eventually, the two of you make your way to a spiral staircase going up. The upper regions of foul places like this are safer than the lower levels. The upper regions of foul places like this are safer than the lower levels. Why in Navel's tongue would that be? Reginald shrugs. Do not ask me what is in the mind of fiends and evil-hearted beasts. Perhaps they prefer the darkness and stagnant air below ground. You look up the stairway and sigh. Well, perhaps we can get a view of the courtyard and the goblins from up there. Reginald leads the way up the stairs, which led into a small tower. Moonlight filters in through the windows. This room is finely furnished and otherwise much more nicely kept than the rest of the castle you visited so far. There is a small bed, still made, on one end, an ornate table, and a bookshelf. On the table is an open fairy tale book and a gold embossed hand mirror. Seeing loot, you forget about the windows and the potential view of the courtyard. You pick up the mirror to inspect it. Strange, says Reginald. There's no dust up here. And do you feel the draft? We are in a ruin. Of course there's a draft. The glass in the windows is still intact, mutters Reginald. Gazing at your reflection in the mirror, you decide you look pretty good, all things considered. You brush cobwebs from your wavy brown hair. You smile. You're happy to see that your teeth are looking particularly good. Of course, you deserve nice teeth, since unlike most people you know, you take care of them. Every morning you wipe your teeth with a cloth dipped in a cleaning concoction consisting of vinegar, salt, a little sand, and small measure of your own urine. That's disgusting. I would never do that if that's what it meant to take care of my teeth. Like, I would not be rubbing my own piss on my teeth. That's out of the question. You're about to pull yourself away from the mirror and put it in your backpack when you glimpse a translucent skull with thin, wispy hair from behind you in the reflection. You spin around and see not a skull, but a young girl floating a few feet in the air, her pale face fixed on you. Reginald sees her too, as evidenced by him running down the stairway. "How dare you touch what is mine?" the ghostly girl shouts. You back up and reflexly put the mirror back on the table. You have heard tales of powerful ghosts that can suck the life right out of you and wonder if this girl is one of those. Oh, but she's cute though. She's a cute kid. I don't want to use any more mana. I'm down to 5 and I really need to save it. If I run for the stairs, she'll just follow me, so I'm just gonna apologize. I apologize, my lady. It is only that this is such a fine mirror, and I wish to admire it. She glares at you for a moment, and then the hard expression on her translucent face softens. I am the Duchess Inverness. My father, the Duke, gave me that as a gift. You have heard stories of Duke Inverness and the mysterious circumstances around the demise of his house. Despite your fear, you feel a pang of sadness for his daughter, who now shimmers before you, trapped in this world. And these books, why, they look like excellent stories in here. Read that one to me, the girl commands. Of course, my lady. Lucky for you, as a wizard, you know how to read. You pick up the book of fairy tales from the desk and begin on the first page. Also, according to how I've been reading, I don't really think I know how to read. She stops you and demands that you read her the story about the unicorn. With trembling hands, you page through the book. Eventually, you find this story and begin reading. The ghost floats up behind you as though to peer down at the pictures. You feel a slight chill on your shoulder. Some time later, you look up from her book and see Reginald peeking around the corner of the stairway at you. You shake your head slightly at him and then return your attention to the book. In the story, the unicorn taps her hoof against a wall in a castle, and a secret passage opens up. As you read this, the little ghost girl smiles and says, "There is a secret passage in the castle as well. It is a foul place, a place where people are taken never to return." Where is this secret passage you speak of? In my father's library. There is a statue. Push the arm of the statue down, she explains. You are intrigued by this and wish to ask her more, but she points at the book impatiently, and so you get back to it. Upon finishing the story, the girl demands you read her another. You wonder how long she might keep this up. Time means nothing to her, after all. You would like to get back to Reginald, and what about Seba's father? Rescuing a merchant might mean a fine reward, and there's Seba herself, of course. You would like to find her before something else does. Okay, well, I think I have been playing this for a good little bit of time. I think some good material was made here, so I think I'm going to stop recording now. So, yeah, I'm going to do more recordings of this as I can. I don't typically have a lot of free time, but when I do get free time, I will record more of this. And yeah, I have fun with it. Hopefully, other people have fun with it. Hopefully, you guys have fun with it. If not, then that's cool too. I'm going to keep doing what I do because I think it's fun. Anyway, if you did enjoy it, subscribe, and I will be putting out more when I can. Peace out, homeboys and girls.